Hi everybody, I'm Karen. Welcome to my channel. Today I am putting on my entrepreneur hat to talk with you about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is starting your own business. If you're watching this video, you may be someone who is thinking about starting your own business, or whether you should start your own business, or whether you should work for another company instead of starting your own business. And so I thought I would talk a little bit about the pros and cons and help you make that important decision. And so first and foremost, I am a serial entrepreneur. I just started my fourth company. I am a person who strongly believes that if you can be an entrepreneur, you should be an entrepreneur. Of course, that also means if you want to be an entrepreneur. And of course, the choice of career, how you work and where you work, is something that is so personal. And I think we've never been more aware of it than over these last few years, when we had to confront what work really means for us and what we want out of our work. And so I think when talking about whether you want to start your own business, that's where the conversation begins for me. And it begins less with exactly what you want to do and how you want to live. Because if you are an entrepreneur, there are certain things that go along with being an entrepreneur. On the pro side, of course, you have potentially more freedom, or theoretically more freedom, because it's you who is running the business, it's you who is making the decisions, it's you who can decide what your schedule is, it's you who can decide what projects you take, which clients you work with. So you have obviously, a lot of autonomy. You have a lot of power and a lot of agency over your own experience of work, and even within your life, because how you work also affects how you live. But on the flip side, as an entrepreneur, you also have the risk that you take when you are setting out on your own. That may be a financial risk in terms of less stability financially, especially at the beginning while you're establishing yourself. It may mean the risk of losing other opportunities working for someone else. And, it may mean having to work your own networks and not being able to take advantage of a bigger organization to help you along the way. And of course, it may also mean things like may affect health insurance and other things that you could potentially have more easily through a bigger organization. But first and foremost, when you think about how you want to work and how that impacts your life, I always just, tell people to think about what they really want. Something that's very structured, something where they have a big team behind them, something where they work more independently. I'll give you an example. I am someone who works very well independently and then with teams on a project-by-project basis. So I love to work by myself. I love to write. I love to think deeply. I love to imagine, to design, to explore ideas. And then I love to come together with a team to talk about and advance those ideas. But I'm not so much someone who likes to go into a big office environment every day with a lot of expectations in terms of that social environment and maybe even some of the politics that are involved with it. So I work really well on a project-by-project basis. And so that may be an example that could help you in your thinking about whether or not a business of your own is right for you. When it comes to, what you have to do to start a business, I will talk about that in another video in terms of the steps and the processes, and maybe some of my advice, or at least some of the experiences that I have lived in starting businesses, which may help you. I hope they will. I would say when thinking about starting your own business versus working for someone else, most important to think about is how that stability or lack of stability will impact you mentally. For me, I feel very comfortable taking whatever risks are involved, and also knowing that if things are not going exactly the way I planned, I might have to hustle a little bit more. I may have to have a side hustle. I may have to keep a part-time job until I really get that business going. None of that bothers me when I think about what I consider the benefits, which are that I am, or at least I feel that I am, more in control of my work-life balance and more in control of the projects and the type of things that I'm working on. So as things come to me, or as I go out and try to win new business, I can decide what's interesting. I can pursue new avenues without having to get approval from someone else to do that. And so, for me, the advantages of being my own boss far outweigh the advantages of working for, someone else. But what I would say is very important. If you're considering starting your own business and you just really can't decide, then I would encourage you to take a part-time or full-time, if you have the opportunity, job working for someone else who you respect in the, let's say, the general domain where you're considering working. So something that has to do with something you might want to be doing, even though you may want to do your own very different thing. But to work for someone so you can kind of see what it's really like. Many, many years ago, I had a partner who was a chef, and he wanted to open a restaurant in New York City. And I thought, wow, that sounds like so much fun. I mean, we'll have a restaurant, we'll have like people coming to the restaurant. And certainly it was an amazing learning experience for me. It was one of the fundamental business experiences that I've had in my life. But it was very different than what I thought having a restaurant was going to be, which I thought it was going to be more like being in a restaurant and having fun. And in fact, it's just a ton of work. As rewarding as it is, it's a lot of work. So I think, and then to give another example in the world of events, I think that people who want to have an event planning business, which is a great business to have for a variety of reasons that I can talk about in a separate video. But, having an event business is not going to parties or going to events. It's extremely different. And I have encountered in my life a lot of young people or just people entering, mid-career into this space who don't really have a sense of what the job truly is. So if you're considering starting a business, learn on someone else's dime. And I would go even farther to say, if you have employment, if you have a job already and you could, so you can't really afford to take another job, or you can't find a full-time job without experience in that field, then volunteer. Offer to work weekends for someone who does events. Event planners always need extra hands on the days when they're doing, let's say, weddings or corporate launches or things like that. So even if you volunteer your time or offer to work in a very entry-level way, I think it's a great learning experience. I mean, if you took a course at a local university, you would spend money to learn from someone who's already experienced in the field. And not only can you learn from someone that you respect, whether or not you think having that type of business would work for you, but you can also expand your network, because if you do a good job working for this person, they will certainly try to help you, in the future. And you may also just make contacts and meet people through your work or even your volunteering for them. I would say that those would be my tips to start thinking about, having your own business, is to think about the style of life that you like, how much risk you are willing to and are able, frankly, to take. And on that note, it may take you a while to be ready to open a business, and you can be taking small steps. So that would be another tip that I would say is, like, if you want to start your own business, you don't have to look at it as this monumental thing that you need to do all at once and a mountain that you need to climb. There are many, many small steps along the way to starting a business that will, help you to determine A, if it's right for you, and B, if the business that you've chosen is right for you or will be successful. Do a lot of research if you can into your potential new business. Try to learn what you can learn. Maybe go to a conference if you have one in your area that would be enlightening for you. Because I think just putting yourself in a position where you're around people who are doing what or close to what you think you might want to do is always good. And then, of course, asking as many questions as possible. Another thing that I have done in starting new businesses, because I've started a few businesses where I really did not know what I was doing when I started them. And so I would just reach out, even just cold emails, but very charming emails showing that I know and respect the person that I'm contacting, and asking for a few minutes of their time, or asking their advice on, just one or two questions. Again, being very respectful of their time, but trying to be compelling in my own request for a little bit of their time. And I know even for me, when I can, I really love to, to share my time with other entrepreneurs who are just getting started, because it's a lot of fun. And I mean, it's unlike anything else that I've experienced. So Yeah, so I think those are some of my tips for thinking about having your own business and whether you should or shouldn't. But I'd say most important is to think about the style of life that you want to have and what work means to you within that context instead of the reverse. And then, thinking about how you can gain insight before you actually launch a business of your own. How you can get information, how you can do research, how you can, connect with a few people within that industry or an adjacent industry to help you along the way. And all right, I hope that this video is helpful to you, that it might inspire you if you're dreaming of starting your own business. And if you made it this far in the video, leave me a comment and tell me what kind of business you would want to start if you did start one. Or what's worrying you about starting a business, or what questions you might have about starting a business. And I look forward to hearing from you and continuing the conversation. All right, have a great day. See you next time.